Soy Enrique Michel.
Sí, como no, embajador, lo conozco bien, lo conozco bien. Es usted muy conocido.
Un abrazo, embajador.
Igualmente, igualmente.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Paisan from Thailand.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Master.
Nice to meet you, Master. Welcome to Mexico.
Thank you very much. I've been here since August. I've been here since August, but didn't have chance to meet anyone outside the ASEAN circle because of the COVID.
We'll have the opportunity of meeting each other in person, Ambassador.
Yes, I look forward to meeting you in person, Ambassador Ley, and your strong team.
Good morning, Ambassador. I am Ambassador Michel. Welcome to Mexico.
Okay. Good morning, Ambassador Michel. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Benjamin Lai, how are you? Good to see you.
Hi, Ambassador. Nice to meet you again. Although this time virtually.
Muchas gracias a todos por acompañarnos. Thank you everybody for joining us in this seminar. We're going to start in 3 more minutes. Vamos a empezar en 3 minutos más. Gracias.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Sí.
Stefan Michel, how are you? ¿Cómo estás?
Embajador, ¿cómo le va?
Un abrazo muy fuerte.
Igual, embajador. Aquí, soy el único que está del otro lado. Creo que soy el único que está en Asia.
No. Embajador Álvarez está también en Asia.
Vietnam.
Perfecto, Asia.
Embajador Ley, ¿cómo estás?
Demetrio, how are you?
Sí.
Good to see you.
Está muy bien. Qué pronto ha pasado el tiempo. Estoy aquí casi 3 años.
Qué bueno, embajador.
Sí.
La verdad es que qué bueno que esté todavía aquí, embajador.
Sí.
Usted ha hecho un magnífico papel.
Sí.
Ya pronto será el decano del cuerpo diplomático de ANSEA.
Sí.
Ya lo es, ¿no, embajador?
¿Cómo?
Ya es usted el decano del cuerpo diplomático de ASEAN.
Soy el más, sí, ahora soy el más antiguo aquí, sí. Ya soy el más antiguo, sí.
Bueno, buenos días, embajador Tuason. Soy el embajador Michel, gusto de saludarlo.
Sí, buenos días. ¿Quién me...? Espera, tengo muchos...
Embajador Michel.
Sí, ok, Michelle, sí.
Hola.
Enrique, sí.
Hola. Un abrazo.
Sí,
Un abrazo.
sí, muy buenos días, sí.
Ya está ahí mi querido amigo el embajador Cheppy Wartono.
Todavía no.
No, ya lo estoy viendo yo.
¿Dónde está?
Buenas noches, Armando.
Ahí con las
Sí, aquí
banderas.
está.
¿Cómo estás?
Wartono, how are you?
Fine, thank you, Ambassador Sergio Ley. Finally, I can meet you in Zoom.
Congratulations. We will soon celebrate the 68th anniversary of establishing diplomatic relations between our two countries.
Yes, correct.
Good morning, Ambassador Cheppy. Ambassador Michel.
Ambassador Michel, how are you?
Fine, my dear friend.
Long time no see.
Nice to see you, dear friend.
Well, actually, I'm not in Mexico City right now.
Where are you, Ambassador?
Querétaro.
Good.
Yesterday I went to the Tolantongo. Very nice place.
Oh, yes, yes, very nice place indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Tulantongo.
Have you been there, Ambassador Ley?
Yes, yes, I've been there, yes. Beautiful place indeed, yes. You went there for just for holiday or?
Yes, to bring my
good.
kids for vacation. This is the vacation day for my kids. So if I don't spend my time for my kids, I will never went to see Mexico. It's almost 2 years. I never go anywhere.
Well, the situation was not really propitious.
Yeah, correct.
But better time are coming, Ambassador.
Yes. Yesterday, the location, a lot of people coming there. It seems like there's no COVID there. But some of them were...
There is no COVID in Mexico.
Especially in Tolantongo yesterday. No one wearing masks. Only me and my family. It seems like I'm weird.
Quite true, Ambassador. I got exactly the same experience.
11. It's 11 o'clock now, Ambassador Ley. Shall we start?
Yes, we think, Jessica.
Sure, thank you so much. So we thank everyone for your kind attendance to this webinar on Mexico and ASEAN Business Opportunities on behalf of the Asia Pacific Business Section of COMCE, of the Mexican Business Council for Foreign Trade, Investment and Technology, and also the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN Commission in Mexico City. We extend our warmest welcome to everybody who's attending today. We are extremely proud to have an important speakers and attendants taking part in this event. We count on the important presence in representation of ASEAN region, Mr. Paisan Rupanichkij, Ambassador of the Thailand to Mexico and Chairman of the ASEAN Commission in Mexico City, Mr. Demetrio Tuason, who's Ambassador of the Philippines to Mexico, Mr. Muzafar Mustafa, who's Ambassador of Malaysia to Mexico, Mr. Cheppy Wartono, Ambassador of Indonesia to Mexico, Mr. Nguyen Hoan Nam, Ambassador of Vietnam to Mexico, and also Mr. Benjamin Lai, who's Regional Director for Mexico City of Enterprise Singapore. A special thanks to ambassadors of Mexico in the Southeast Asia region who are also participating in this event. It's an honor to having your participation today, as well to all the representatives of the private and public sector from Mexico and also for the Southeast region. It is important to highlight that this is a collaborative effort between COMCE and the Commission of ASEAN countries in Mexico, also the Thai embassy who is chairing the commission for the organization of this webinar. Thank you very much to everyone involved in the preparation of this event. During this webinar, you will be able to send your questions through the platform chat. We also request to have your microphones in silence, please. Thank you very much. So in this session, we are glad to have the participation of government representatives from the ASEAN countries, as well as representatives from the business sector of Mexico. I am very pleased to give the floor to Ambassador Sergio Ley, who's chairman of the Asia Pacific Business Section of COMCE, who will share welcome remarks with all of us. Please, Ambassador Ley.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Good morning, all of you. My warmest greetings to His Excellency, Mr. Paisan Rupanichkij, Ambassador of Thailand to Mexico and Head Pro Tempore of ASEAN Commission, Mexico City. His Excellency, Mr. Demetrio Tuason, Ambassador of the Philippines. His Excellency, Mr. Mustafa, Shah Mustafa, Ambassador of Malaysia. His Excellency, Mr. Cheppy Wartono, Ambassador of Indonesia. Mr. Nguyen Hoan Nam, Ambassador of Vietnam. Welcome to Mexico, Ambassador. And His Excellency Enrique Michel, Chairman of Mexico ASEAN Business Committee of COMCE. We are also proud, I hope that His Excellency Mr. Humberto Hernandez Haddad, Deputy Secretary of the Tourism, will join us later on. And also I want to greet very warmly and give my warmest regards to His Excellency Ambassador Armando Alvarez, which is joining us from Indonesia. Dear friends, Benjamin Lai, Regional Director of Mexican City of Mexico City of Enterprise Singapore. A hug to Stefan Michel, Chairman of the Mexico ASEAN Business Committee. Dear panelists, attendants, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this seminar. The relationships between Mexico and Southeast Asia are already some centuries old. Through Manila came to Mexico all kinds of products from Southeast Asia, and from Mexico went to Southeast Asia many goods that took naturalization charts through the region, such as chilies, tomatoes, potatoes, pineapples, and others, and many importantly, and very importantly, silver minted in Mexico and Peru. Nowadays, ASEAN represents for Mexico a source of opportunities and challenges. At the stake is not only its undeniable economic development, but also because that region is an essential part of the new reconfiguration of strategic powers at a global level. For ASEAN countries, Mexico has a clear geostrategic value due to our proximity to the United States, the size of our domestic market, and the interaction with the rest of the Latin American and Caribbean regions. There are diplomatic and governmental coordination mechanisms with all 10 countries that have been increasing in recent years, both bilaterally and multilaterally, in such organisms as United Nations, G20, WTO, APEC, and MICTA. To all of this, it should be added the negotiation and implementation of the Trans-Pacific Economic Cooperation Agreement, CCP-TPP, the most updated and advanced FTA in the world, where Mexico interacts directly with Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Brunei as a free trade partner. Regarding bilateral trade, at the end of 2020, according to Mexican statistics, ASEAN as a whole was Mexico's second trading partner in Asia and fourth trading partner in the world, behind only from United States, China, and the European Union. Bilateral trade amounted to 30.8 billion and represented 3.8% of Mexico's total global trade. Mexican export totaled 1.8 billion plus, which represented 0.4% of total national export, ranking 14 among the major destinations for sales of Mexican goods. On the other hand, imports from ASEAN amounted to 29.052 billion US dollars, 70.6% of global Mexican imports, which makes ASEAN the fourth main supplier of Mexican market. The trade balance is largely unfavorable to Mexico for a value of 29.2 billion US dollars. For every dollar that Mexico exports to the ASEAN, it imports 16. During 2020, the first obvious conclusion is that the value of bilateral trade fell compared to 2019, confirming the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. By countries and according to official Mexican statistics, Malaysia is the main trading partner with almost 11.08 billion US dollars, representing almost 49% of the total trade between Mexico and ASEAN. In 2020, in 2019, trade with Malaysia reported 36% of Mexico's total trade with ASEAN. Regarding the investment of the member countries of ASEAN in Mexico, the accumulated for the period 1999 to 2020 is around 1.8 billion, an amount really small compared with the rest of the investment attracted by Mexico during the same period of time. On the other hand, of the total, 90.46% come from only 3 countries, Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. The investment volume of the rest of the members' countries are very limited, namely from Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, and Cambodia. We have an investment from Cambodia amounting to $2,000. Looking to the records of Mexico Ministry of the Economy, at the end of 2020, there were 290 companies with foreign investment from ASEAN, distributed as follows: Singapore 220, Malaysia 39, Philippines 25, Indonesia 6. The 10 member countries of the organization occupy a combined area of 4,490,000 square kilometers. According to the United Nations projections for April 2021, all countries together have a population of 662 million people, 8.4% of the world population. And as a region, it would be the 3rd largest globally region with a free trade agreement that started operating in 2020. Despite the negative impact of COVID-19 pandemic in the region, ASEAN continues to be a very relevant player in the global economy. The FMI estimates that for 2020, the region nominal GDP amounted to 3.1 trillion, representing 3.7% of global. Whereas purchasing power and power parity of the region, el PPP, share of global PPP was 6.5% with a total value of 8.46 trillion. In comparison, Mexico represents about 1.24%, that it is 1.04 trillion, the nominal amount of Mexican GDP, and 1.8 percent in GDP, in PPP, meaning $2.4 trillion for the time being. Here we are in the face of a very promising market of great potential for the Mexican exporter. Let us explore the opportunities laying ahead and retake ourselves the prominent role as the leading business partner of ASEAN in Latin America. Thank you very much. And again, welcome all of you to this seminar.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for your message. Now we have the participation of Mr. Paisan Rupanichkij, who's Ambassador of Thailand in Mexico, who will share the opening remarks. Ambassador, you have the floor.
Thank you very much for giving the floor. Ambassador Sergio Ley, Ambassador of ASEAN Member State in Mexico, distinguished participant, Buenos Dias. On behalf of the ASEAN Committee in Mexico, I wish to express our deep appreciation to Mr. Ley and his strong team for their support in co-hosting the event this morning. It is an honor for all of us from ASEAN to meet with the Mexican business sector today. A strong representation from the ASEAN side today reflects an importance that we give to this event. Our meeting is taking place at an unprecedented time. Many countries around the world are still coping with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our meeting today provides a good opportunity. We can share information and important experiences. According to the IMF World Economic Outlook, ASEAN economy is expected to contract by 3.3% in 2020, but projected to grow by 4.5% in 2021. Although the impact from the COVID is quite unprecedented, it is unlikely to affect the long-term economic prospect of ASEAN, which is currently the 5th largest economy in the world and a major global trading partner. ASEAN is now the largest trading partner of China and the 4th largest trading partner of the United States. And if I'm not mistaken from your statement, Ambassador, ASEAN is now the 4th largest trading partner of Mexico. Over the past decade, ASEAN combined GDP has doubled. In 2019, it was around $3.2 trillion US. In November last year, in the middle of the crisis, ASEAN managed to conclude a historic trade agreement, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, with our 5 dialogue partners, namely China, Japan, Republic of Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. RCEP will be the largest trading bloc with the 1/3 of the world population, a total GDP of $26 trillion US, which account for 30% of the global GDP. Trade volume is about $10 trillion US, which is about 27% of the world total trade. Regarding the response to the pandemic, ASEAN is one of the COVID resilient region in the world. Detecting the first case of infection outside China as early as January 2020, ASEAN implement early measures to contain the spread of the virus. Currently in ASEAN, we have about 2.9 million infected cases and almost 60,000 deaths in the region, which have the population of 650 million. The new regional initiative, such as ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework and the ASEAN COVID-19 Response Fund, are introduced to enhance health and emergency preparedness system in the regions. Next year, 2022, will be another historic year in the ASEAN regions, as Thailand will be hosting the APEC Economic Leader Meetings. We hope it will be the first in-person meeting for many years, and Indonesia will also be hosting G20 Summit. ASEAN stands ready to work closely with Mexico as a member of both APEC and G20 to address key global challenges. Under these 2 frameworks, we look forward to welcoming a high-level representation from Mexico in our regions. To conclude my remarks, I wish to once again express our sincere appreciation on behalf of the ASEAN Committee for the COMCE kind support and close cooperation in jointly organizing the event today. We are honored to meet our Mexican friends, and we look forward to a substantive discussion and a fruitful meeting. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Now I let the floor to Ambassador Enrique Michel, who's chairman of the Mexico-ASEAN Business Committee of COMCE, who also will share with us a special message on the current economic situation in Mexico. Welcome, Ambassador Michel.
Thank you very much. His Excellency Paisan Rupanichkij, Ambassador of the Kingdom of Thailand and ACMC Chairman. Excellencies, Ambassador Sergio Ley, Chairman for Asia Pacific at COMCE, dear friends, when I was ambassador to the Kingdom of Thailand, I had the honor to meet Dr. Tanat Koman, founding member of ASEAN, who used to tell me that there was nothing to lose and a lot to gain in the economic relation of ASEAN with Mexico. Dr. Tanat Koman's vision was right. Through the years, I have seen a strong development of the relation of ASEAN with Mexico. Mexico is the 2nd largest economy in Latin America and the 15th largest in the world. A global pandemic came at a time when the Mexican economy had contracted for 5 straight quarters due to a variety of factors. The COVID-19 crisis accelerated this trend. Our economy saw a steep decline of 17% from the first quarter to the second of 2020, followed by a partial recovery of 12% in the third quarter. However, the output level was still 8.6% lower than 2019. The gradual reopening of the economy and normalization of trade flows between the US and Mexico have helped a faster recovery in manufacturing compared to the rest of the economy. As economic activity picked up pace in the United States, so did the manufacturing output of Mexico, especially the automotive sector, with many industries reaching their pre-pandemic production levels. In its main scenario, the central bank expects Mexico to grow 4.8% this year, and yesterday the IMF increased to 5% its GDP forecast for Mexico. The central bank sees inflation ending the year at 3.6% within its target range. Remittances maintain a good pace of growth. The amount sent to our country in January and February stood at a record high of $5,701 million. In our view, the improvement in the labor market and the approval of additional fiscal stimulus in the US continues supporting inflows. In 2020, our exports amounted to $461,000 million, and our imports to $455,000 million, 5,000 millions in our favor. One important objective of the Mexican government is to promote the recovery of economic and commercial activity, taking into account the decrease in the volume of global exchanges in 2020 and followed by a forecast increase of 7.2% by 2021, according to the World Trade Organization. During the presentation of the report, Prospects for International Trade in Latin America and the Caribbean, the Executive Secretary of CEPAL at the UN, Alicia Bárcena, said that the foreign trade sector has ceased to be the economic engine of the region. Despite this landscape, Bárcena offered a positive note by pointing out that the relocation of global value chains, thanks to nearshoring, could favor by strengthening its link with the United States. For the official, our country is the Latin American nation that could benefit the most from this trend, while also taking into account the help of the USMCA. Specialists foresee that Mexico can rebuild itself thanks to foreign trade and thus recover the lost historical values of international commercialization. To achieve this, two words are key: consolidation. According to an analysis by Thomson Reuters agency, confidence in some specific sectors, such as automotive and electronics, must remain intact, not only reactivate foreign trade, but also consolidate its leading manufacturing markets and sectors. Diversification. Another important factor to keep in mind, according to the study, is that it's not feasible for countries to depend on a single source of essential products. Therefore, for Mexico, this situation must be an opportunity for the diversification of international trade by creating new markets. Additionally, the impulse that the government gives to foreign trade will give a natural boost to Mexican exports if the necessary conditions exist. Fortunately for foreign investors, Mexico has never had such a solid investment protection structure as it has today. Currently, we have 13 free trade agreements signed with 50 countries and 32 agreements for the reciprocal protection of investment. Under these treaties, foreign investors affected by the Mexican state have the right to sue Mexico before an international arbitration court. In addition to this framework, Mexico has the strength of autonomous institutions as the central bank and constitutional defenses like the amparo trial, the unconstitutionality actions, and the constitutional controversies. Mexico is moving forward. We are with ASEAN Partners for Prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Michel. Now we are going to open a space where Mexican companies who are members of the Mexico-ASEAN Business Committee in COMCE will present relevant data and information regarding the business environment in Mexico and also its potential with the Southeast Asia region. So we will begin with two interventions concerning the topic trade and investment opportunities for foreign investment, for which I would like to introduce Mr. Ivan Ruiz, who is CEO of SBE International Holdings, and also Mr. Alberto Varela, who's also CEO of Jackmath Consulting. So first we're gonna hear Mr. Ivan Ruiz. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. Good morning to all of us here in Mexico and good night over there in Asia. Well, I'll first like to introduce us as a company. We're a company dedicated pretty much to develop quality assurance and quality control solutions in order to support, well, they're support and integrated with technological tools and systems for the supply chain management practices for international companies. Basically, what we do is provide the manpower systems and the support for international companies to develop and maintain offshore manufacturing. Over the past 15 years, SBE was created and conceived in China, but very soon after our creation, we started moving and expanding operations to other Southeast Asian nations and other ASEAN countries. Currently, we have operation in 6 of the largest Asian nations, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam, among other Asian nations. And our experience as a company has been more on the practical side. We represent a lot of international companies and customers' interest on the supply chain diversification. And what we do is we help them maintain their desired quality on products with a strict compliance along the process in all the steps of the supply chain wherever they develop projects. Over the past years, we have witnessed a very solid economic growth of the region. And before the pandemic, we were actually very active and we were visiting and rapidly expanding operations in countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, Singapore, and some other countries in Asia as well. We have the opportunity to be in and spend some time with Ambassador Cheppy, who I say hello, to Ambassador Armando on the past Indonesia Trade Expo, as well as the INLAC Summit. Vietnam, we're regular visitors in Vietnam. We have, after China, Vietnam is our main operation hub. It was the first country that we expanded right after China, and now we have a strong team and we have a growing volume of operations in Vietnam, where we also develop teams along other places in the ASEAN region, like Philippines, for example. We're strong believers, and we've been discussing about this, what Ambassador Michelle just mentioned about this diversification. And this is something that for us, it has come more on the practical side. I mean, we were pretty much forced to start supporting our customers in different countries. And we're huge believers about the amazing opportunities that the region brings. We have seen the growth on some specific sectors like the electronic sector, the mobile phone sector, telecommunications, textile, the garment sector, the footwear sector, where a lot of things are happening in this ASEAN region. So we always try to create awareness of what we call the China Plus One strategy, which means that we still recognize that there's a huge power of one specific country, but we always pushing and creating awareness about this growing amount of opportunities that we can find in different countries, like the ones that we already mentioned, and we finally see it happening. There's a long still way to go. We need to keep on creating this type of forums. We need to keep on creating this type of exchange on communication and opportunities. And for that, we celebrate the leadership and the efforts done by COMCE, all the attendees of this forum. And we believe that only striving for the promotion of this type of forums and exchange of information, bilateral trade and investment opportunities will increase and boost. And by doing this, the social and economic development will happen. We thank you very much once again to COMCE and all the people here. And we will keep on working on trying to diversify all these opportunities, taking care of our customers and associates' interests. Thank you very much, Jessica.
Thank you very much, Ivan. We are very happy to hear your experience in the Southeast Asia region. So now we can hear Mr. Alberto Varela, who's also sharing a message.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to Ambassador Sergio Ley for the invitation. Also, thank you for the Ambassador Paisan Rupanichkij for inviting us to be with you this morning. Basically, let me tell you a little bit what we are doing and some important comments that I consider for the companies who are joining us today. In JACMAF, we are a company which is focused on identifying business opportunities for Mexican companies and also from foreign companies here in Mexico. And also we are working with local governments here in Mexico just to helping to internalize their agenda. So because we consider it is very important in this process of attracting investment to Mexico and also to export products for the ANSEA companies, is important the participation of the three levels of governments. So I like to just I'm very glad to be in this webinar headed by COMCE, because it's important nowadays that Mexican companies and also the agencies or economic section that belongs to the foreign embassy here in Mexico know a little bit more what's going on in Mexico, as Mexico as an opportunity country to growing up the business. As you know, as Ivan was telling and Ambassador Michelle also mentioned, Mexico is a very important company for me situation. I mean, we are our geographical, location, also the huge free trade agreement that we have, and also while we have our human capacity, also the global value chain and the experience that Mexico has in the foreign trades. Also, as you know, Mexico is a very exporter and importer of the automotive and auto parts sectors, electrical, electronic, aeronautic, also agri-food products. So all this is important. All this is some advantage for companies, from investors, from ANSEA companies, but also with Mexican companies who want to export the products to another countries. And it's important, this seminar also, because the diversification is one of the main objectives of the federal government in Mexico. But this seminar is part of this effort, just to share with the companies the opportunities the South Asia countries represent for the companies. But more also, it's important to share with the companies that this approach with countries of Southern Asia, they can identify not only buyers or sellers for the products, but allies companies allies to establish joint venture for different products that they want, taking advantage of our neighborhood with the US and Canada, our main trade partners. So and also it's important just to mention that there are many, it's a huge many of the friends that we are here in this webinar. There is a huge networking support for the foreign companies who want to invest in Mexico. What I mean, it is the federal government, the province, the local governments, also the Mexican agencies, consulting companies. There is a huge network that can help foreign companies to sell products here in Mexico, but also to attract invest in Mexico, to identify the best place to local some investment. As you know, Mexico is a huge company, a huge country. Sorry, it's a huge country that we have different levels of development in the north, in the south, in the central Mexico. So I just conclude to invite the companies and to invest in Mexico, to be key in contact with all this network. COMCE, of course, is a very important actor in this process to attract investment in Mexico and exporting Mexican products, to identify the best place to attract investment. So to take advantage of Mexico's experience in foreign trade and investment also. And thank you for the invitation. I think I'm very pleased again to be part of this webinar, just to share with you some of these comments. And thank you again for this invitation, Jessica.
Thank you very much. Thank you also, Mr. Ruiz, Mr. Varela. We are sure this information will be very, very appreciated by all the attendees in today's meeting. So now we continue with our agenda. Now we have the participation of Mr. José Luis Valencia, who's CEO of Silogiat and also Director General of COMCE Veracruz, who will share an outlook for cooperation with Asia Pacific and also in the logistics sector.
Thank you very much, Jessica, for the introduction, and also thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador Sergio Ley and Mr. Ambassador Paisan Rupanichkij for this space and the time. I will try to be very quick, giving a general overview about the main points of cooperation that, in experience, I can share with all of you that we have with Mexico and Asia Pacific. Well, Mexican companies have a huge area of opportunity in the business relationship with ASEAN countries in both commercial lanes, imports and exports, as well in the technological exchange, as investment attraction, as my predecessors, colleagues have mentioned. In COMCE, we work together with all the actors in the private sector, joining effort with federal and local government, trying to get a success outcome, strengthen the foreign trade activity and also the foreign investment attraction, despite all this serious damage caused by the COVID-19. It's very important that I share with you some of the most relevant topics that I see that could be very interested for all the Asian companies and all the Mexican companies who be interested to doing business and promote the cooperation. In this way, I would like to talk a little bit about these topics. The first one is to see Mexico as a launch platform for the USA and Europe market, The close relationship that we have with USA and Europe, thanks our strategic position, commonly is used as a platform in a free trade region. Then this could give us many positive facts in order to develop manufacturing products and services that could get free access to those markets. In the second topic, talking about education and technological development, it's very important that we can share technology and modernize the manufacturing process. Since the beginning, in this decade, the Asian countries they had a very good projects in technological modernization in their manufacturing process. It's very important for us to have this cooperation to improve our local process and trying to do a kind of technological clusters between the Pacific with Asian countries and Mexican countries who could improve all the supply chain worldwide. Also talking about the food security, as a country, we share a very strategic position in the cultivation and the harvest of fruits and vegetables. We are a complement with the global food supply chains, and Mexico is the 7th agri-food exporter worldwide, and it's very necessary to do a cooperation with Asian countries in order to contribute in the technology and also in the supply of this kind of goods worldwide. And finally, regarding the logistics optimization, it's very important to do a remark about that Singapore is the Asian leader in the ranking of the World Bank's Logistics Performance Index. Even Thailand and Malaysia have a very good position in that ranking, even better than Mexico. I know that there is a lot of situation that we are facing at this moment, but it's very important that we open this communication and try to know more about how Asian countries do a very optimistic and positive logistics process for their own countries and try to get all these good practices to Mexico. In this way, I would like to give you a general overview of the big projects that we are working now in Mexico, mainly in the southern Mexico. And we have 3 big projects that could be for the interest of Asian countries. The first one is the Interoceanic Corridor, that is a dry transit channel by land and railroad that joins the Pacific with the Atlantic through the ports of Salina Cruz and Coatzacoalcos. In this region, also we are promoting the strengthening of the industry, agri-food industry, sustainable energy industry, logistics and connectivity industry, and also all the kind of industry that boost with value all the supply chains. And finally, we see a huge opportunity for the development of the seaports through the interconnectivity that we have with the cabotage or the short sea shipping routes. We can promote sea shipping lanes from northern Mexico to southern, and also in the Gulf of Mexico that could give us opportunity to bring more products among the continent, and also to increase our exportation to another countries. Well, this is my presentation. Thank you very much for the space. I keep wait for your question at your disposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jose Luis. So now we continue with the veterinary pharmaceutical business experience at ASEAN region. a case of success for which I give the floor to Susana Mesa, Foreign Trade from ABIMEX Laboratories. Please, Susana.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Pues deseando buenos días a todos ustedes y que sus familias estén muy bien de salud. Excellencies, distinguished guests at ASEAN region and Mexico, dear friends, it is a great privilege for me having this opportunity to be with all of you. On behalf of ABIMEX, I want to express that we are very grateful with COMCE for this kind invitation. Thank you very much, Ambassador Ley, for your remarkable support and kindness. Thanks a lot to the Vice President of the Asia and Oceanica section, Agustin, for your extraordinary job and truthful attentions, as well as Jessica and the great team of COMCE. We appreciate and highlight your work and real commitment with the entrepreneurial community. Thanks a lot. So, today I'm going to talk about ABIMEX and our business experience at ASEAN region. The presentation, please. Thank you. ABIMEX is a Mexican bioinnovation company focused on animal health. Next, please. Next, please. We have 69 years at the Mexican veterinary and pharmaceutical market, and nowadays we have 35 years exporting from Mexico to many countries around the world, especially Central, South America, and Caribbean region, as well as Africa, East of Europe, Oceanica, and Asia. We are focused on the production, development, export, and trade of biologicals and pharmaceuticals for veterinarian use, mainly oriented for poultry, swine, and aquaculture, specifically for shrimp and fishery. Next slide, please. Our mission is to promote animal health and food safety to enhance the competitiveness and success of our customers, not only in Mexico, but also for our international markets. Next slide, please. Because this webinar is focused on Mexico and ASEAN business opportunities, I'm going to share with you how everything started for us and why we are very grateful with our distributors there. But before that, yesterday I was told that there is a lot of interest in vaccination plan in Mexico. Well, first things first. Everything depends on the animal species. For instance, for avian sector, it could be for broilers, layers, and chicks with very specific vaccines according with the bird's life calendar. However, a good vaccination program is not enough if other complementary measures are not followed, like biosecurity, bird sanitary quality, immune status, correct applications of vaccines, knowledge of the degree of exposure, and infectious agents in the environment. In Mexico is SENASICA, the federal entity which has the mission of maintaining and improving the country's zoosanitary status through the prevention, control, and eradication of pests and diseases that affect the livestock and aqua, aviculture, and fishing sectors, in addition to avoiding effects on public health and the national economy. To achieve this, the institution establishes policies, guidelines, and regulations in field activities with zoosanitary campaigns enriched with preventive and diagnostic medicine, and commercially in the export and import aspects, as well as integrating work teams such as the National Advisory Technical Council of Animal Health, CONASA in Spanish, and the National Advisory Committee of the Standardization of Animal Health Protection, CONAPROS in Spanish. As a company, we follow all the sanitary requirements, in our case at SADER SENASICA, in order to get sanitary registration in Mexico, and we strictly follow the biosecurity and international quality control procedures in order to accomplish the export market conditions. After this parenthesis, now I'm going to continue telling you the story at ABIMEX in the international market. So in 2004, we started our exports to ASEAN region. Indonesia was our first market, not only at ASEAN, but also outside of the American continent. After Indonesia, we continued with Vietnam and Philippines, and then we started business actions at Malaysia and Thailand. Next slide, please. Why ASEAN? Well, ASEAN region is a very important poultry farming producer. In 2004, a terrible avian influenza outbreak started there. So in that moment, ABIMEX focused its efforts on the support of the Indonesian and Vietnamese aviculture with very specific biological products elaborated in order to solve and control the avian influenza problem. Next slide, please. With the enduring trust we receive from our customer, ABIMEX expanded its line of products, not only with biotechnological avian influenza vaccines, but also with other biologicals and pharmaceuticals for poultry and swine. All those actions allow us to launch a complete hepatitis vaccine line for poultry and Philippines with very good results. Nowadays, we can say that Vietnam and Philippines are the best markets, are our best markets in all Asia, and we appreciate and thank all the support and marketing efforts that our distributors make in order to give us a remarkable place, even with COVID circumstances. Next slide, please. Obviously, through all these years, we had to face ups and downs, especially because the veterinary and pharmaceutical sector is highly regulated, and each country has a specific sanitary regulations. That means that rules can change anytime, and we must be prepared in order to accomplish the new requirements and conditions. So, based on this, I want to take a moment in order to express our deep gratitude to COMCE, the Embassy of Mexico in Indonesia, the Embassy of Indonesia in Mexico, as well as the Ministry of Agriculture in Indonesia for all the support you are giving to us in order to continue our commercial activities there. Thank you, indeed. Next slide, please. Some moments ago, I mentioned that ABIMEX has an aquaculture line, and we are working on that field at Thailand and Malaysia because we can provide a very efficient product which can support the Thai and Malaysian aqua farms. We hope in the near future we can find the best way to solve all the regulatory situations and launch this aqua line for shrimps and fish. Next slide, please. According with our experience at the ASEAN region, we can share with you that having long-lasting business relationships there are suitable. Communication, proper follow-up, flexibility, patience, and mutual cooperation are some of the tips and tricks, if you want to call them like that we use every day for our customers. In fact, last year, 2020, our distributors in this region gave us the best sales numbers ever, the best support, even complicated logistics environment, and the best business feedback, which allow us to improve our technical and international trade development. Next slide, please. And the ASEAN region is not only beautiful, but it's also an example of innovation, hardworking people, fine business culture, and most important, friendship. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. Gracias a todos y hasta pronto.
Thank you very much, Susana, for your excellent presentation. Now, regarding the COMCE's activities for 2021, in order to present our strategies and platforms to continue the business promotion of Mexico in the region, and vice versa, I would like to share a presentation as well. Please let me know if you can see the screen. Okay. So whereas the digitalization of business has resumed a great importance, the promotion of them could not stay behind, for which COMCE, in collaboration with counterparts in the Southeast region, promotion agencies and other organizations have developed business platforms for these countries. Now I am pleased to present the Mexico ASEAN Business Platforms, which has been developed by COMCE, through which you will have direct access to the bilateral business platforms for the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. So can we go to the next slide, please? Each country's platform displays the sections that will be briefly presented hereafter. Can we go to the next slide, please? The initial section of each site consists of the presentation of the trade promotion organizations of Mexico and each country. Now in the screen, you can see some of the platforms that we have. If we can go to the next slide. As I mentioned before, we have these platforms for the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and also Vietnam. So we're gonna share an example of what you can find in each platform. Can we go to the next one, please? This is an example for the Mexico-Indonesia Business Platform. As I mentioned before, you can find the initial section of the site that consists on the presentation of the trade promotion organizations of Mexico and each country that we are collaborating together to present this kind of information. If we can go to the next one, please. We can find two forms, which purpose is to detect some specific interest to explore business opportunities with companies from both countries that are interested in trade or investment in these countries, also in Mexico. So you can find here a form and indicate the interest, the specific interest that you have. In the next section, and the next slide, please, you can find business information that also includes here some links to the main sites or contact information of these counterparts. If we can go to the next one, please. Then you can find some bilateral business information that includes the official Mexican information of trade between the two countries, the main import and export products, also the main sectors of investment, the import and export potential by sector, and finally, some resources that have been developed internally in COMCE and that are available to all the companies for consultation. Also, the platforms Data Mexico and Exporta MX, which has been developed by the Ministry of Economy and also the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Mexico. In the next section of each platform is about the most important events that take place in the Southeast region, where you can find, if you are interested in trade between these regions, you can find here some special events or main events that represent an important opportunity for these companies that are interested in expanding into this kind of market. Finally, as I have mentioned before, we have the contact section, where you can find again the contact details of each country and also the business organizations of each country for your information. So as you can see, this is a very simple platform to explore, and we really hope that it will be very useful for all of you. So it is also important to mention the work that we have collaborating with the academic sector of Mexico. So in this regard, since last year, with the collaboration of Ibero University, dozens of documents related to the knowledge of products and markets in the Asian region have been produced for this 2021. In its second semester, the preparation of 10 studies focused on broadening the commercial information by country product is planned as well to share with all of you, considering the inputs and proposals of the business community to define what the approaches will be. So we are open to receiving your comments as well. If you are interested in any market study about some products in some regions, we can also have this information to try to work on this for the next semester. Likewise, we will continue to accompany the business promotion efforts with the Southeast Asia region with the leadership of the Committee for the Asian region of COMCE, with Mr. Ambassador Michel, who is the chairman of this committee. And we will develop the ASEAN Commission in Mexico City and with each of the countries that integrate it. Other business seminars, B2B meetings, country and fact sheet, business information capsules, the promotion of events of trade and investment. In addition, that we are organizing and planning business promotion visits to states and the Mexican Republic, with the collaboration and support of the network of regional and state COMCEs. In a first exercise, a visit to the state of Veracruz has been scheduled for this year. So we invite all the Mexican entrepreneurs and companies who have an interest in business development with the ANSEA region to contact us through these kind of platforms that I have already showed you, or to our emails that we will share on the chat to join this effort to develop more and better business with the countries in the region. So thank you all of you. Now, we would like to invite the attendees to share your questions through the chat in order to answer them at the end of the session. We would like to open the special session of the program to listen to the messages from the ASEAN representatives. So first, I would like to give the floor to the Ambassador Demetrio Tuason, who's Ambassador of the Philippines to Mexico, to share his message. Please, Ambassador.
Buenos dias, good morning, honorable ambassadors, distinguished entrepreneurs, and invitees. I would like to make a special mention to Ambassadors Sergio Ley and Ambassador Michelle. Would like to see a much improved relationship between Mexico and the ASEAN region. This can only come about by maybe a free trade agreement between our region and Mexico. My presentation today will be very brief. It will be basically the results or our situation in the Philippines after COVID or during COVID, because we have had a new wave of COVID cases in the Philippines. Like many countries, the Philippine economy suffered during the early days of the pandemic, but Q3 of 2020 showed early signs of recovery as markets and consumers adjusted to the new normal. Unemployment moderated to 8.7% in October 2020 from a high of 17.7% in April. Inflation in 2020 averaged 2.6%, which within the government's 2 to 4% target. Philippine peso appreciated against the US dollar by 5.37%, from over 50 to 1 to now 48.50 to 1. To address the pandemic, the government has put together a 4-pillar socioeconomic strategy with a combined value of 2.57 trillion pesos, Philippine pesos, equivalent to US dollars 53 billion. The first pillar, emergency support to vulnerable groups. Pillar 2, beefing up the country's healthcare system and infrastructure. Pillar 3, liquidity measures enacted by the Central Bank of the Philippines, such as lowering the benchmark interest rate of 2%, support for micro, small, and medium enterprises, promoting digital payment platforms. Pillar 4, creating jobs and sustaining growth through corporate recovery and tax incentives by enacting the CREATE Bill, which creates tax cuts for MSMEs and all corporations. Country's 2021 national budget of Philippine pesos 4.5 trillion will serve as a stimulus package. That's roughly $90 billion. To assist in COVID-19 recovery, the Central Bank of the Philippines has injected some 2 trillion or $40 billion into the financial system, equivalent to 10% of 2019 GDP. Likewise, BSP, Banco Central, has advocated increased use of digital payment platforms. BSP's issuance of the National QR Code Standard, or QR Philippines, can assist the economy in further leveraging on the efficiency, safety, and affordability of QR technology for payments. BSP is also pushing for digitalization of payments of taxes, fees, permits, etc. through eGov Pay. I'm going to present to you our consejero comercial, Michael Roaring, who will give you a brief presentation of the Philippine economy as it is today, after COVID. We have had, just to go a little bit on the COVID, we have our cases have reached 850,000 over the period of 14 months. Our death rate is 14,000 for the whole period. And we are now in a second wave, which is stronger than the first wave. We're back in lockdowns and things like that. And so our economy, I do not know how it will affect our economy, but we do have a plan for recovery in place. So Michael, can you please continue? Michael, we can't hear you. You're mute. We cannot hear you. Michael, I cannot hear you. Michael.
I think there's a problem with the microphone.
Yeah.
We cannot hear you. You're in mute.
Yeah. Oh, Michael, we cannot hear you.
Buenas tardes. Hola.
Okay, now you can.
Now we can hear you. Thank you.
Bueno, tengo una presentación, pero quizás hay problema en compartir la pantalla. Mi colega Valerie pueden ayudarme, pero voy a empezar. Bueno, somos la oficina comercial de la Embajada de Filipinas en la Ciudad de México y quiero intentar mi presentación en español porque Filipinas y México compartimos muchas cosas y uno de ellos es la herencia española. Entonces, quiero ser breve. Somos parte del sureste, del región sureste asiático. Somos ubicados en sureste Asia. La ubicación de Filipinas es punto de entrada a cerca de 600 millones de personas del mercado ASEAN y tenemos una población de 100.1 millones de personas y tenemos una población muy joven con una edad promedio de 22.7 años. Siguiente, por favor. Y sí, ASEAN es una estratégico acceso a mercados y también en el siguiente lámina podríamos ver que Filipinas somos una entrada al mercado de ASEAN. A través del progreso, siguiente por favor, a través del progreso económico de ASEAN, bueno, en la pantalla, siguiente por favor, podríamos ver la historia antes de la pandemia, ¿no? Filipinas fue uno de los más fuertes economías en ASEAN con un PIB muy fuerte. Pero, siguiente, por favor. Sí, y antes de la pandemia fue un país en donde muchos latinoamericanos vienen para vacaciones. El siguiente, por favor. Sí, solo ya hemos mencionado en las otras presentaciones sobre el crecimiento económico de la región. Siguiente. Siguiente, por favor. Siguiente, por favor. Voy a mandar el copia de esta presentación. Bueno, en términos de el embajador Tuason, ya mencioné que en plena de pandemia hemos lanzado una nueva ley, el gobierno, para para reducir, ¿no? el tasa de corporate income tax desde 30 hasta 25 y también hoy muchas actividades ya son exentas del IVA y las empresas domésticas con ganancias menores de 5 millones de pesos o 103,000 dólares debería tener un solo 20% de corporate income tax, ¿no? Siguiente, por favor. También tenemos que mencionar que el día de hoy tenemos muchos incentivos para empresas, ¿no? Extranjeras. Incluso el cero impuesto hasta 17 años o 10 hasta 17 años y para empresas nacionales hasta 12 años. Entonces, es una estrategia para ser competitivo, para Filipinas. Es una ley para ser competitivo. Okay. Siguiente, por favor. Y aquí son las actividades claves en donde hay actividades preferenciales en donde empresas tienen los incentivos, ¿no? Siguiente, por favor. Siguiente. Bueno, estamos en una era oro de infraestructura y estamos en punto de gastar mucho para muchos proyectos en ingeniería, como en puentes, en proyectos de transportación. Entonces, invitamos a empresas mexicanas a participar. Siguiente, por favor. Solo para mostrar que en pleno de pandemia, Filipinas continúa ganando inversiones extranjeras. Siguiente, por favor. Bueno, aquí son las estrategias del gobierno para la reapertura gradual de la economía. Uno de los más muy importantes es que hoy el gobierno ha transformado sectores para luchar contra la pandemia. Siguiente. Siguiente, por favor. Siguiente. Sí, son los tres estrategias: apoyo para mantener ingresos, para fortalecer demanda y incentivar oferta en los mercados. Siguiente, por favor. Aquí son los apoyos e estímulos económicos, financieros y no financieros para estimular la economía. Siguiente. Sí, estoy hablando sobre el gobierno hoy es redirigiendo la manufactura hacia productos esenciales. Tenemos estas empresas filipinas y también extranjeras que están trabajando en la manufacturera de cubrebocas, policro, pileno no tejido, caretas, y etcétera. Y estamos buscando socios en Latinoamérica y en México para estos productos. Siguiente, por favor. Sí, y también tenemos empresas haciendo ventiladores hoy. Hay que mencionar IMI, una empresa filipina que ahora tiene una manufacturera en El Salto. Siguiente, por favor. Siguiente. 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 Bueno, aquí son los datos. México es uno de los países con más fuertes intercambios comerciales con Filipinas en la región. Y el mejor parte de nuestra relación comercial con México son en los partes electrónicos y autopartes, pero queremos ayudar más en los productos. Queremos diversificar, ¿no? Siguiente. Sí, siguiente. Siguiente. Sí. Es más importante decir que en Filipinas, Filipinas no solo pide inversiones. Filipinas es un inversor en México y en la región, y tenemos una empresa, International Container Terminal Services Inc. En México operan los terminales marítimas en Tuxpan, y también sí tenemos una manufacturera, la mayor compañía de licores de Filipinas adquirió marcas mexicanas como Presidente, Azteca de Oro y Don Pedro, convirtiéndose así en el mayor productor de brandy a nivel mundial. Siguiente, por favor. Y también tenemos esos inversiones latinas en Filipinas. Siguiente, por favor. Entonces, voy a ser más rápido. Oportunidades comerciales. Somos el líder mundial en call centers, y invitamos a empresas mexicanos en cooperación en TIC, en tecnología, información y televisión. También en industrias creativas como películas, animación, desarrollo de juegos. Siguiente. También productos de coco y sus derivados son uno de los productos que exportamos en la región, y también productos de abaca. Siguiente. Y productos de alto diseño. Siguiente, por favor. Otras categorías son químicos, carbón activado, cosméticas, equipo médico, equipo de producción. Siguiente. Y franquicias, ¿no? Franquicias. Tenemos muchas franquicias. Y tenemos ferias y eventos. Ahora son online debido a la pandemia. Y siguiente. Entonces, en la Embajada de Filipinas somos la oficina comercial. Estamos listos a hacer business matching, listos de proveedores, y todos los servicios son gratuitos para empresas mexicanas. Y queremos agradecer COMCE por todo. Y si quieres contactarnos, estos son los contactos, y estamos listos para ayudar a empresas mexicanas en hacer negocios en Filipinas. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much, Ambassador Demetrio Tuason, and also Michelangelo for this presentation. Thank you, all of you. And also, we would like to continue with the participation of Ambassador Muzafar Sam Mustafa, who's Ambassador of Malaysia to Mexico. So the floor is yours, Ambassador. We can see the presentation, Ambassador, but we cannot hear you. You have to unmute your microphone, please.
Sorry. Okay, thank you very much. I would like to first and foremost thank Ambassador Sergio Ley, Ambassador Enrique Michel, and also COMCE, and also the Ambassador of Thailand for organizing this seminar. So I would like to make the presentation, as you can see in the screen, on the business and trade opportunities between Malaysia and Mexico. I'm quite happy that, as what mentioned by Ambassador Ley, that Malaysia currently is the largest Mexico trading partner among ASEAN countries. But I don't fully take comfort of this fact because there are a lot more that can be done between Malaysia and Mexico, and also in general between ASEAN and Mexico. So my presentation would consist of some information about Malaysia and also trade performances and the opportunities of doing business between Malaysia and Mexico. So this is in general the map of Malaysia, and also the smaller map you can see the location of Malaysia, and as we notice we are very far apart geographically, but this would not should not stop us from having very close and close collaboration in terms of trade and businesses. These some facts. I'm making some comparison just to show where we stand each other between Mexico and Malaysia. For example, like land area, we are very much smaller than Mexico. It's only like maybe one tenth of the size of Mexico. The population, we are 32 million compared to Mexico 130 million. In terms of GDP, we are 336,000 million, and we rank 40th in terms of the global GDP as compared to Mexico between 16 to 15 with more than 1 trillion GDP. Per capita income nominal, Malaysia per capita income is 11,193 compared to Mexico about 8,400. GDP growth for 2020, we also been affected very much as any other countries because of the pandemic. We recorded a drop of minus 5.6% of our GDP last year. Unemployment rate was increased also last year to the 4.8%. In terms of our economic performance, first about we are very much a trading nation. Our total trade last year was 423.66 billion, which was contracted by 6.6%. And export also declined by 14% to 233.93 billion. And similarly, import was also declined by 100. The total was 189.73 billion. But nevertheless, we still recorded a trade surplus in 2020 by 44.2 billion. We are happy with the World Bank report in terms of ease of doing business. We have recorded an improvement for the last 3 years. From 2018, we were ranked 24th. In 2019, we improved to 15, and in 2020, we are 12th. So this shows the commitment of the government in facilitating trade and investment to our country. I'd just like to also mention briefly about the situation of COVID in Malaysia, because our economic recovery would very much depended on how well the government respond to the COVID. So far, the total case are 353,000, more than 353,000, with number of deaths recorded at 1,300 deaths. The government has imposed various measures to contain the COVID in terms of imposing a movement control order. It was very strict from March to June 2020, where most of the businesses and economic activities was almost at a complete halt. But after July, we already started opening the economy slowly. And we are still, until now, still closing the international borders for non-essential traveling. And the vaccination program already started in February. So far, we have vaccinated around 788,000 people, or about 2.4%. We hope this vaccination progress going to make a very good progress later this year. And the government has introduced 5 stimulus packages totaling about 320 billion Malaysian ringgit, equivalent to USD 78 billion, on various packages and incentives such as cash assistance to low-income families, tax reliefs, electricity discount, wage subsidies, grant to SMEs, and other reliefs. We hope these are going to be able to generate the recovery of our economy. We were hoping that we would be able to make a V-shaped recovery, but unfortunately, now we are hoping that we would be able to make a U-shaped recovery in 2021. In terms of bilateral relation, we have established relation with Mexico since the last, I think, more than close to 50 years now, with 9 bilateral agreements, and we are still talking about 6 pending MOUs and also agreements. To travel to Malaysia is a visa-free for 30 days for social and also business purposes. So Mexicans are very much welcome to Malaysia for social or business purposes. In terms of trade performance, as what you can see on the screen, this on the upward trend until last year, that we have recorded a slight decline in our trade. Mexico is our third largest trading partner in Americas, after America and also Brazil, and the second largest Malaysia's export destination in Americas, after US and also after US. And Malaysia is Mexico's 6th largest Mexico import source. Current investment of Malaysian companies, I would like to mention particularly Petronas has been in Mexico for the last few years, and currently is the largest oil and gas, foreign oil and gas companies in terms of investment in Mexico. We hope the Mexican government will continue to be committed in terms of its energy reform, so that Malaysia would be able to contribute to the development of oil and gas industry in Mexico. In terms of opportunities, as you can see on the screen, first maybe in the food industry, especially in the halal. Halal is a market of more than 2 trillion US dollar market. There's a lot of opportunities for Mexican companies also to be involved. Malaysian company has a lot of expertise in terms of halal requirements. It's not only, when we talk about halal, it's not only about food, but it's also about cosmetic, pharmaceutical, and also other aspect of halal industry. And also about palm oil. Malaysia and together with Indonesia, we are the largest producer of palm oil. Palm oil is currently the 50% of the edible oil of the world consumption comes from palm oil. Palm oil is the most versatile and also the most efficient edible oil currently. So there's no substitute for palm oil at the moment, even though there are a lot of negative publicity on palm oil, but at the moment there is no other alternatives for the global consumer other than palm oil. When we talk about our bilateral trade, there are a lot of opportunities. Currently, most of the goods between trading goods between Malaysia and Mexico are mostly electrical and electronic goods, but mostly they are part of the supply chain of multinational companies. So I believe there's a lot of opportunities for Malaysian and also Mexican companies to explore in terms of collaboration, in terms of exchanges, in terms of business and trade in consumer goods. There are also other areas of pharmaceutical product, electrical and electronic, textile, and also aviation and aerospace industry. This is about the COVID situation. So now we have come up with a special arrangement for business travelers to come to Malaysia. There's a special arrangement that can be done. So for inquiries, please get in touch with our trade section of the embassy as the address appeared in your screen. And also similarly, any business interest can also be channeled to the embassy for the action. So I believe I will stop here for my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your valuable participation, Ambassador Muzafar. So now I would like to give the floor to Ambassador Cheppy Wartono, who's Ambassador of Indonesia to Mexico. Please, Ambassador, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. Good morning, Excellency, colleagues, ASEAN member ambassadors, especially to Ambassador Sergio Ley, Chairman of the Asia Pacific Business Section, COMCE, Ambassador Enrique Michel, Chairman of Mexico-ASEAN Business Committee, COMCE, and my colleague, my partner, Ambassador Armando Alvarez, Ambassador Mexico to Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, muy buenos días a todos, selamat pagi, good morning. First of all, please allow me to convey my sincere gratitude and appreciation to my colleague, His Excellency Ambassador Paisan Rupanichkij and his team, and for arranging this very important meeting between ASEAN Committee in Mexico City and COMCE. I believe that this meeting will open up opportunity to strengthen economic relations between Mexico and ASEAN in general. In the regard, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give a brief presentation of what we are doing to optimize the potential that Indonesia and Mexico have. The size of the area territorial of Indonesia and Mexico is more or less similar. Indonesia has 1.91 million kilometers square and Mexico has 1.97 million kilometers squares. And Indonesia have more than 17,000 islands. But the population of Indonesia is about twice of Mexico, where Indonesia has around 270 million inhabitants. In terms of GDP, in 2020, the GDP was around $1.17 trillion US dollars, close to 1.2 US dollar, which is also similar to Mexican GDP. Based on the sectors, service, in particular, communication, transportation, and finance, is the biggest contributor of the 2019 GDP, with 44.2%. While agriculture and industry contribute 12.7% and 38.9% respectively. Due to the COVID, like what happened anywhere, in 2020, the economic development our growth in Indonesia disrupted. The economy still grew positively in the first quarter, but contracted minus 5.3%. And the second quarter was contracted minus 3.5% in the third quarters. This condition led Indonesia to its first recession in 2 decades. Fortunately, the last quarter of 2020, Indonesian economic bounced back, and the yearly growth is only contracted minus 2.1%, which is much better than most countries in the world. Apart from the rise of domestic consumption, the recovery was also driven by investment and net exports. In 2020, Indonesia exports to the world decreased by 2.6% from 167.68 billion in 2019 to US 1.63.3 billion in 2020. But at the same time, Indonesia import also dropped 17.34%. Therefore, it's still the balance is still positive anyway. To avoid worsened condition, the government of Indonesia has taken crucial steps, especially in terms of government budget allocation. A total of 49.5 billion has been reallocated by the government to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 pandemic to support Indonesians, including to the business communities. To support business communities, including the MSMEs, the government of Indonesia has also allocated more than 20 billions in 2020. The government support still continue this year, where now a total 47.5 billion is allocated for COVID-19 recovery. In 2021, business incentive is still one of the priorities in Indonesia. With all the measures taken by the government, the World Bank forecasts that Indonesia will grow 4.4% to 4.6% in 2021. Now let's move to our relation between Indonesia and Mexico. In particularly in economic field, based on our geographical position, I have to admit that many people think that Indonesia or ASEAN country is far away. However, I prefer to think and use the words from President Sukarno, who had a very good relation with President Adolfo López Mateos. President Sukarno said to the President López Mateos that our shores are wasted by the same water of Pacific Ocean, that both countries, Indonesia and Mexico, are connected by Pacific Ocean. Consequently, in my opinion, the distance is not something absolute. It's true that up to now, Indonesian export to Mexico than the other way around. However, if we look at graphic made by the Secretary of the Economy of Mexico, we can see the dynamic development of our trade. Until 2009, our trade were only reached around 500 million. That was almost double in 2010. Furthermore, as we can see in the graphic, in 2012, Mexico export to Indonesia at around 580 millions, was almost level at Indonesia export to Mexico, which was around 620 millions US dollars. It happened when the US had economic recession and the European countries also still had prolonged recession, which led the financial and economic crisis. This condition has led many countries around the world to proactively find new market opportunities in order to boost economic growth. In this case, Mexico found Indonesia as a new market where its export to Indonesia can grow around 200% in only 2 years. But unfortunately, it decreased in the next 2 years Two, it seems that it grew afterward, especially in 2017 and 2018, but still far below its peak in 2012. For the last 10 years, Indonesia and Mexico trade balance has been steady in around 1.1 billion to 1.4 billion per year, 1.2 billion per year. And even with all the disruption caused by COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, according to Indonesian Ministry of Trade and trade balance between Indonesia and Mexico reached 1.206 billion, increased by 0.1%. It was really unbelievable. I believe it shows us how strong is trade relation between Indonesia and Mexico. In general, three main product commodities traded are vehicles, footwear, and rubber. However, if we look back to the previous graphics from the Secretariat de Economia, the potential are still beyond these products. Indonesia and Latin America. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the government of the Republic of Indonesia has put Latin America and the Caribbean as the new potential trading partner, whereas Mexico in the priority. And starting 2019, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia has an annual event to connect business communities in Indonesia and the region, called Indonesia and Latin America and the Caribbean Business Forum, or we call it INALAC. Thanks COMCE, there were 14 Mexican business people visit Jakarta and participated in the 2019 Indonesian Latin American the Caribbean Business Forum. Last year, due to the pandemic, INALAC Business Forum was held hybrid event where 30 Mexican business people participate virtually. Through this INALAC Business Forum in 2020, we witnessed signing ceremony of 3 business memorandum of understanding between 3 Indonesian company and 3 Mexican company with business potential of more than 70 million US dollars. In line in the virtual event, INALAC offered an online platform of business community in Indonesia and in Latin America and the Caribbean to exhibit their products and or services to each other. And as of now, there are 15 Mexican companies use INALAC online platform to showcase their products. So we invite our others Mexican company to use this online platform to sell their product to Indonesian market. This year, INALAC Business Forum is planned to be held as a hybrid event. Once again, therefore, I have an honor to invite members of COMCE to participate to the event, the 3rd Indonesian Latin America and the Caribbean Business Forum, and especially conduct to connect Indonesia business community with their counterparts from Latin America and Caribbean, including Mexico. And I'm also glad to invite members of COMCE to use INALAC online platform to promote or exhibit their product, as well as to use platform to have virtual one-on-one meeting with your potential counterpart in Indonesia. To know more on what are offered, please visit the website as the slide, and please write to us if you need more information. And 2021, we will have Indonesian Expo in Mexico. So we will invite more than 100 Indonesian companies to come to Mexico, and also 10 provinces to show their product to Mexico. And we are also collaborated with the 5 to 7 states in Mexico to come to Indonesia Expo 2021 in WTC. As the closing, I would like to remind you once again, the Indonesia and Mexico have a big potential to be stronger partners in terms of economy. This is why we need to collaborate to reach those real potential. As I mentioned earlier, we have witnessed that 2012 Indonesia and Mexico export to each other at almost the same amount. Therefore, both countries, especially business community, should once again consider each other as the potential market as well as a partner. I believe that with all the rapid change that we are facing now is the right moment to open this new chapter. Last but not least, for the information about the COVID, now in Indonesia, we have already 1,500,000 case with 48,000 died. And now already 10 million are vaccinated in Indonesia. It's now growing up. We hope by another 3 months, can reach 15 to 20 millions people in Indonesia can be vaccinated. Once more, thank you. Muchas gracias. Terima kasih. Thank you, His Excellency Armando Alvarez.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Wartono, for your relevant message and also to the invitation to participate in such an important event at INALACIS. So let's welcome now to Ambassador Nguyen Hoa Nam, who's Ambassador of Vietnam in Mexico. Please, Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jessica. Good morning, ambassadors, distinguished entrepreneurs, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank Ambassador Sergio Ley, President of the Pacific Business Section, COMCE, Ambassador Paisan Rupanichkij, Chairman of the ACMC and Embassy of Thailand and COMCE, for organizing this virtual seminar, which I believe very timely with the current context. I would like to thank Ambassador Enrique Metro and Mexican speakers for all the information regarding the situation in Mexico in various aspects and your sharing of the outlook of the cooperation with Asia Pacific and Southeast Asia in particular, as well as COMCE activities for 2021. Regarding the topic of this seminar, I would like to share 2 points. First, the current socio-economic situation in Vietnam. And second, trade and investment opportunities for ASEAN and Mexico in general, and Vietnam and Mexico in particular. So the first point, current socio-economic situation in Vietnam. I would like to share with you that for like many other countries, the last 1 year and more was a difficult time for us, for Vietnam, and I think also for many other countries, because of the changes, because of the challenges due to COVID-19. However, Vietnam has not only surmounted the challenges, but also attained important achievements in many areas. To name a few. First, we have effectively responded to the COVID-19 pandemic. Vietnam has been recognized by the world as the bright spot in the fight against pandemic. As you know that so far, 2,600 people were affected by the COVID, and 36 people lost their lives. So Vietnam, at the same time, Vietnam has also become a place that manufactures a large number of individual health protection equipments against COVID-19 in the world. And the second point I'd like to share here is that for the year 2020, in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Vietnamese economy expanded 2.91%, helping Vietnam be one of the fastest growing countries in the region and the world. So I would like to share with you that right from the beginning, the government of Vietnam set dual goals of containing the COVID-19 pandemic and at the same time boosting the economy recovery. And a package of nearly $2.6 billion was adopted to support the people and enterprises affected by the pandemic. The economy of Vietnam was also ranked among the top 16 most successful emerging economies in the world. Vietnam's GDP size last year increased about 1.4 times compared with the year 2015. And Vietnam was ranked 42nd for the second straight year out of 131 economies in the Global Innovation Index 2020 rankings. The Human Capital Index for Vietnam increased from 0.66 to 0.69 between 2010 and 2020, according to the new report by the World Bank. And the third point I'd like to share with you about the current situation in Vietnam is that by 2020, Vietnam has joined 15 new generation FTAs, free trade agreements, and it is now in the process of negotiating 2 other agreements. So as you know that CPTPP is one of them, and with Mexico as a member also, and in ASEAN now we have Brunei, Malaysia, Singapore, and Vietnam as members of this agreement. So we believe that international economic integration has boosted Vietnam international trade with rising import and export turnover. And you know that with the FTA with major and developed economies in different geographical areas. And this has helped Vietnam to diversify its external economic relations and have a more reasonable market structure, which is not too dependent on a certain market area for Vietnam. And I would like to let you know that in the year 2020, with the pandemic, Vietnam export increased 6.5%. So the another point I'd like to share with you that thanks to the achievements, Vietnam has become an attractive destination for foreign investors as they saw the stability in Vietnam and also the development potential of our economy. For the year 2020, even in the pandemic time, many investors, mainly from Asia, came to Vietnam for investment like Japan, South Korea, Singapore, China, and many others. And the total foreign investment capital came to Vietnam was $28.5 billion. Of course, we are looking forward to more investment from Mexico. And mentioned about these achievements we had over the last time, especially in the year 2020. Of course, I would like to also say that Vietnam now is also facing a lot of challenges concerning like how to restructure our economy to adapt to the new situation and how to improve the competitiveness, to improve labor productivities and many other things. So this is what we need to do more in the time to come. And as you would like to let you know that we also have adopted a strategy for economic development for the next 5 years, and also the vision for 2030. And the Embassy of Vietnam, of course, is ready to provide you all the information about our economic development plan in the time to come. And this is the first point. And the second point I'd like to mention at our seminar is about the trade and investment opportunities for ASEAN and Mexico in general, and Vietnam and Mexico in particular. I share with our previous colleagues that there is a great potential for cooperation for business between ASEAN and Mexico. And I would like to emphasize some aspects. First, I think that Mexico is a big country and a large market in the region, and a very important market for ASEAN countries in Latin American region. And ASEAN is also a huge market with growing economies. Both ASEAN and Mexico boast of young and skilled workforce, low cost for manufacturing labor, and a growing middle class. So there are important factors that bringing Mexico and ASEAN together. And second, in terms of areas of cooperation, I think that our ASEAN colleagues just mentioned, and also we just have listened to our enterprises from Mexico, we can see that there are a lot of areas we could work together to improve import and export, to improve the investment from Mexico to ASEAN, and also from ASEAN to Mexico. And third, in terms of multilateral economic cooperation, ASEAN can serve as a gateway for Mexico to enter the Asian market through the RCEP, means Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. And at the same time, Mexico, as a member of USMCA, can assist ASEAN to enter the market of this organization and can become a gateway to promote relations between ASEAN and the Pacific Alliance. And also Mexico, with some ASEAN countries like Brunei, Singapore, Malaysia, and Vietnam are the member of CPTPP. So many things we could work together to increase trade and investment among us. So the potential are huge, but how to make the most of these potentials, especially in the current context with a lot of challenges. In Vietnam, when dealing with countries that geographically is far away, we always mention about factors like because of the distance, because of the language, because of the culture. So the question here is, I think, that how it could lower these barriers, especially in the context of the digital economy, in the context of COVID also pushed us to speed up the digital economy, to speed up the digitalization of our countries and of our relationship. So I think that with that, I would like to suggest that first, we need to enhance the exchange of visits, especially at high levels, which would serve as a political drive for enhancing cooperation between Mexico and ASEAN. And I agree with Ambassador of Thailand, who just mentioned that we look forward to the high-level visits between ASEAN and Mexico. And I think this would create very good atmosphere to enhance our cooperation in the time to come. And second, we need to do more to connect the businesses from both sides through exchange visits, seminars, workshops, trade exhibitions, so that we can better understand each other, the people, the culture, including the business culture, and we could understand the strength and the potential of each side. So I think that we need to do more in the time to come. So with the current context, we could do not only physical visit, but we could do through the virtual meetings, on the Zoom meetings or seminars. So this is what I think that we should make use in the time to come. And regarding Vietnam and Mexico economic relationship, Mexico is now the third largest trading partner of Vietnam in Latin American region. And Vietnam now is the 8th largest trading partner of Mexico in Asia. And the two-way trade value between the two countries in 2020 reached $3.6 billion, an increase of 6.2%. And this is the figure from Vietnam Customs. But the number from Mexico is more than $6.6 billion. The potential for business between Vietnam and Mexico is, I think, very big. Both countries are now members of CPTPP. And so we need to work harder to further promote the economic partnership between our two countries. And first and foremost, I think that we need to make the most of the agreements that Vietnam and Mexico already signed, already are the members. And finally, I would like to emphasize that the Embassy of Vietnam in Mexico warmly welcomes more Mexican trade, tourism, investment in Vietnam, and we will do our best to become a bridge to promote economic and business between the two countries. And we would like to work with COMCE to come up with specific programs in this direction in the time to come. Thank you very much, and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much for your important presentation, Ambassador Nguyen. Now we have the participation of Mr. Benjamin Lai, who's Regional Director for Mexico City of Enterprise Singapore. So welcome, Benjamin. The floor is yours.
We'll try again. Hi, good afternoon. I am Benjamin Lai. I'm the Regional Director of the Mexico City Office from Enterprise Singapore. I would like to thank COMCE and the Thai Embassy for putting this event together and for inviting Enterprise Singapore to be part of this webinar. I am honored to be speaking alongside such esteemed speakers. We are running a bit behind schedule and I will jump right in. So Enterprise Singapore is part of the Ministry and Trade of Industry, and our role, our objective really is to help Mexican companies connect with Singapore companies to address business opportunities both in Latin America and in Asia. So I'll talk a bit about the post-COVID-19 scenarios that we have as requested. One of the things that we observe is that we are not returning to a pre-COVID world. Even if our economic activity returns to pre-COVID levels, we will be in a very different economy. And this is the new normal, which everyone is talking about. Because of COVID, the world would be different. Sectors and industries would have transformed. And this is apparent in retail, hospitality and tourism, as well as manufacturing. Global supply chains already look different and will continue to evolve. Thus, we need to look at the fundamentals that will drive the post-COVID world. We continue to strengthen ourselves as a global business hub to attract global businesses. To do this, we continue to be a safe harbor for capital, talent, and ideas in an uncertain world. We establish strong networks with partner countries through international trade agreements and digital economy agreements. We have been and will continue to support global supply chains. Trade is not only crucial for us, but also the global economy. We have, for example, prioritized vaccination of personnel in logistics to ensure that our ports and airports are able to continue operations without disruption. Beyond the short term, we are boosting our global value chain ecosystem for supply chain resilience, strong connectivity, and advanced manufacturing capabilities. With this, we aim to be a trusted and resilient node, both physically and virtually, in order to serve different markets in a post-COVID-19 world. Even without COVID, technological disruptions have been accelerating. In a post-COVID world, adapting and leveraging these technological disruptions is no longer an option, but an imperative for business growth amid COVID-19. We need to transform through technology. We are investing into high-growth industries such as agri-food tech and manufacturing. These new technologies will help overcome challenges and create new opportunities. Singapore is small, but with technology, we can leverage our small size to pivot faster and respond more nimbly in a world where uncertainty is a given. The tourism sector, for example, which has been very badly hit by COVID-19, is transforming via new capabilities towards sustainable business models so that we'll be ready to seize opportunities when international travel resumes. We are piloting international meeting venues near Changi International Airport, specially designed to bring more travelers in, but keep COVID-19 out. Visitors will be able to fly in, stay at the venue where they can have meetings with local and international contacts in rooms separated by airtight glass. In this setup, documents can also be sanitized and passed through special windows. We have also helped businesses to use technology to transform. Businesses that are thriving in the world today have transformed using digital solutions to access new markets, even without a physical presence. We have especially supported our SMEs to digitally transform and to reach global audiences through e-commerce platforms. To sum up, for a nation that imports over 90% of our food, has traded 3 times our GDP, and whose airport has been named the world's best airport for 8 years in a row by Skytrax World Airport Awards, COVID has had a big impact on us, and we are already rebuilding for the future. These initiatives have created opportunities for Mexican companies wanting to work with Singapore, which I will cover in the next segment. I see 2 main areas where there could be collaboration opportunities for the Mexican business sector. The first is in technology and innovation. And the next is trade as well as cross-border e-commerce. I will spend more time on technology and innovation because it is something that's not so common. So our goal is for Singapore startup ecosystem to be very vibrant and to be a very good place for different businesses to come in, innovate, and launch from Singapore. We have a diverse pool of ecosystem partners, which will help any companies coming in to do so. We also aim to work with larger companies and their venture arms in their innovation sourcing. So if you have any needs for innovation sourcing, or if you have an innovative product or solution that you wish to address the Asian market with, we can co-innovate with you and localize your solution for Asia. We have built a stable environment for business, and we have supportive government policies where not only Singapore companies, but foreign companies can take advantage of and use Singapore as a springboard into ASEAN and Asia. So with this supportive growth environment, we hope that you would look at Singapore as a source of innovation, as an innovation partner that you can rely on in your road to Asia, and also platform for you to launch your business and innovation initiatives in the region. I'm showing this slide on the agri-tech landscape because of a few reasons. This is one of the big initiatives that we have recently. We are pushing a lot into the agri-tech landscape. If your business is in this space, we hope to have you in Singapore. Mexico is a major bread food producing region of the world. And we also hope that our technologies that we develop in Singapore will be applicable in the region. So that ends for technology. Trade is a lot more straightforward. Singapore is a trading country. We are well positioned within Asia to help you distribute into the region. We look forward to connecting with producers, suppliers who have products that could be of interest to Asia. In this slide, you can see that within a 3 or 4 hour flight radius, we can give access to many countries. And this has helped cross-border e-commerce, which Singapore has been putting a lot of resources in. And we do not only buy, but if you are sourcing for any items, I'll be keen to help connect you with the correct traders from Singapore. So please do connect with me if you have any interest in this area. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benjamin Lai, for your important message. Now, in order to conclude this important section of messages from the Southeast Asia regions, I give the floor to Ambassador Paisan Rupanichkij, who's Ambassador of Thailand to Mexico. Welcome, Ambassador.
Ambassador, you're still mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Thank you, Ambassador.
Yeah, there are 6 issues that I wish to share with the audience. Let me begin with the first one on the overview of the Thai economy in 2020. Like many countries around the world, last year, 2020 was the worst year for Thailand in 22 years. The economy contracted by 6.1%. We are one of the economies that badly affected by the COVID-19. One of the reasons is because our reliance on the tourism industry, which accounts for 12% of our GDP. Just to give you the size of the importance of the tourism industry to our economy, we can look at the statistic by the UN World Travel Organization. Thailand is number 4 in the world in terms of earnings from tourism industry after the US, Spain, France. We earned about in 2019 more than $60 billion industry. And we hope that this year Thailand economy is expected to recover and expand by 2.5 to 3.5% this year. And it depends on the global economies and how the economy can open up for the tourism industry. I will discuss about this later on, about the opening up of the Thai country, because the year before COVID, there are more than 30,000 Mexican visitors visit Thailand. For the mitigate the impact of the COVID-19, the Thai government introduced economic measures valued at about over 70 billion US dollar. I will not go into detail because you can see it on the infographic. The third issue after the second one is the government stimulus measures. The third one is about the government measure to control the outbreak of the COVID-19. Just to draw your attention that Thailand was the first country outside China that reported the first infection. That was in January last year. After the outbreak, the Thai government has introduced numerous measures to contain the spread of the COVID-19. Currently, the number of infections cases in Thailand is close to 30,000, and there are about 95 people lost their life from the COVID, which is still quite a low number for the country with the population of nearly 70 million. Thailand, from the May or June this year, Thailand will start the production of AstraZeneca. And we expect to produce about 26 million doses in May or June and 35 million doses by August. Overall, we expect to produce about 200 million doses for a regional distribution to other countries in Southeast Asia. We also develop our own vaccine, which is expected to be produced sometime this year. We expect to produce about 20 million doses for the locally developed vaccine. Currently, Thailand imposed the mandatory quarantine period of 14 days for any visitor that want to visit Thailand. But we will start to relax these quarantine measures from the 1st of April this month. The mandatory quarantine period will be reduced from 14 days to 10 days for international travelers who has not been vaccinated. But those who has been vaccinated, the quarantine will reduce to 14 days. And we will start to further relax about the quarantine measure from July this year. Phuket, a famous seaside resort in southern Thailand, will be the first city in Thailand that have the first to lift quarantine requirements for vaccinated foreign tourists. And from October to December this year, 5 more destinations in Thailand will be opened up to the international visitors. And we hope by 1st of January 2022, the whole country will open up for international visitors without quarantine, subject to certain conditions. The first issue that I want to share with the audience is Thailand International Cooperation. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, next year Thailand will assume the chairmanship of APEC, and we will be hosting the APEC leader meetings in November next year. And I have a chance to talk to President Amro after presenting my credential. I extended an invitation to him directly to participate in the APEC leader meetings in Thailand, which will be held more or less at the same time as the G20 summit in Indonesia in November next year. And Thailand will soon announce the themes and the priority under Thailand APEC chairmanship, and I will share with the member of the COMCE, so we can work together to ensure active participation of APEC, of the Mexico in APEC next year. The fifth issue that I want to share with the audience is investment and opportunity in Thailand. Thailand is the second largest economy in Southeast Asia. We are one of the top 3 export base in ASEAN. And I got a piece of information this morning that based on OECD data, Thailand is the second largest investor overseas in ASEAN. From 2008 to 2018, Thailand investment overseas, outwards FDI, has increased 12-fold. From the accumulated stock of our investment overseas as a percentage of GDP increased to 25% in 2018. In the nominal term, the accumulated stock is more than surpassed $100 billion in 2017. An FTA, 15 FTA with 18 different nations. And just recently, as I mentioned, that as a member of the ASEAN that was launched last year, we will have a more trade investment opportunity for many more countries that part of this is a member of the ASEAN. Thailand also interested to join the CPTPP, and we hope that when we make a formal application, we will get the support from member countries, including our friendly countries, Mexico. And I just want to okay, in terms of trade opportunity, Mexico is our second before the COVID in 2019. Mexico is our largest trading partner in Latin America. The value of total trade is more than $3.7 billion. And because of the COVID last year, our total bilateral trade gone down to about $3 billion, which is still high. And Mexico is our second largest trading partner in Latin America in 2020. According to Mexican statistics, the total volume of trade between our two countries is 6.4 billion in 2019. And I just want to inform you that recently, Mexican authority given an approval for Thailand to export Thai's house cricket products, such as cricket powders, to Mexican market. We are pleased to inform that soon you will have an opportunity to taste the cricket products from Thailand. Another issue that I want to share with you is the investment opportunity between our two countries. Currently, there are two Mexican firms investing in Thailand. One is Metausa, which is about the auto parts, and Kidsania, education, entertainment. From the parts of Thailand, there are two Thai business making an investment in Mexico. One is the Royal Interpack, which is during the plastic sector, and another one is Indorama Venture. This is one of the largest, one of the world leading producer in intermediate petrochemical industry. The issue that the Thai government is currently very much given the importance to is the biocircular and green economy, or we call it BCG. This is a very important issue because we see as a new model for development. And I'm sure that the BCG will be part of the Thai APEC priority in 2022. Oh, I already running beyond my 10 minutes. The last issue is about the future activity between our two countries. Before I left Bangkok to assume my post as ambassador of Thailand to Mexico, I have been approached by some Thai businessmen who really have a keen interest to invest in Mexico. That's why I'm planning to lead a trip by a Thai businessman to visit Mexico in August to explore trade and investment opportunity in Mexico. Before another issue that I have to inform the audience that as the chair of the ASEAN Committee in Mexico, I plan a trip. I will organize a trip for the ASEAN ambassador to visit Veracruz in August. Oh no, in May. In May, we already set the date for 25th to 26th of May. The ASEAN ambassador will visit Veracruz, which is one of the very important city in Mexico. And before I close my remarks, I wish to thank COMCE again for jointly organizing the event today. As a newcomer to Mexico, look forward to meeting Ambassador Ley and his team in person very soon. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Still mute, Jessica.
Sorry, thank you so much. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for your participation. We have just a few time left in this session, so we are unable to answer all the questions. So we want to give the floor to Mr. Stefan Michel, who's Vice Chairman of the Mexico-ASEAN Business Committee of COMCE, who will share with us closing remarks for this session.
Hi, good morning or afternoon to everyone in the Americas, and good evening to those of us who are in Asia, including Ambassador Armando Alvarez, who's burning the midnight oil just as I am. I see that we have two questions before going any further. One is, how do ASEAN countries take advantage of the US-MCA to expand trade and investment with Mexico? And I think on that point, basically, this has to do with collaborative manufacturing. And it would really depend on the different sectors that people want to tackle. But companies, let's say, taking advantage of USMCA through Mexico from ASEAN could find it very advantageous. And then we have another question from Indonesia, which is, with Mexico as the main potential candidate to fulfill disrupted supplies from China to the US, how can ASEAN countries contribute? So this is in a way related. I mean, the supply chains today around the world are very integrated, and I believe that ASEAN is also disrupting in a way the supply chains that were typically coming from China. So I believe that greater trade collaboration between Mexico and ASEAN, as far as supply chains go, will be able to take us to a very strong position in terms of both economic blocks. I'd like to say that, Mexico has 130 million population. Our economy is 1.2 trillion in size. ASEAN's currently 650 million population with $3 trillion size. I mean, these are both very big, forces to reckon with on their own, and in a way, very strong emerging powers. So I'd just like to say, it's been illustrated and underlined during this seminar today about how distance through communication and increasing collaboration has really changed the relationships now, I think. And now more than ever, the world that we will emerge from post COVID, I think, will present a lot of opportunities for both ASEAN and Mexico as rising superpowers on the economic front. I'd like to thank everyone who participated tonight, the ambassadors from the ASEAN countries, our friends from Enterprise Singapore as well, Ambassador Ley from COMCE, Ambassador Michel, and our other speakers from the membership of COMCE. And I'd like to thank everyone for participating, and just would like to highlight that these are the types of events that will further collaboration between both sides of the Pacific. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Good evening to all of you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stefan Michel. Thank you very much for these messages and also for joining us in this webinar. With this intervention, we would like to conclude the event. On behalf of COMCE and the Asian Commission in Mexico, I would like to thank you, all of you, for joining us in this webinar. So good morning in Mexico and good night to all the representatives in the Asian countries. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, dear Ambassador. We will see each other.
Thank you.
Thank you for the conference, Ambassador Paisan, and
you.
everybody who have participated, Ambassador Ley, Ambassador Michel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you.
See you soon. See you soon.
Thank you.
See you soon. Have a
you.
wonderful day.
Okay, thank you. Leave meeting, yeah, no?